Last month we took a look at the Samsung Galaxy A70, which was the second best model of the new A line, with the A80 being the best, shockingly. As Samsung are drip feeding the release of these, we'll take a look at the A30, which is at the low end of the A models, with the A10 being the lowest, and we can take a look at how they differ. I'm doing it this way if you're curious, because the staggered releases means that next month we can take a look at the A10 and the A80 together, and compare how the higher end and lower end models contrast and determine the trade-offs depending on your budget. Anyway, the A30. So right off the bat, the A30 surprised me because it maintains the Super AMOLED screen, and I've had to criticise higher end phones recently for lacking even an OLED, and this is the reason why. The A30 having a Super AMOLED puts it above most other budget phones. As well, it features an impressive 4000 mAh battery, which is always good to see. Camera-wise, the rear features a multi-camera setup with an ultra-wide angle, which is great, though video capture is limited to 1080p at 30fps. Now that is hardly a deal breaker by any means, but higher frame rates and/or resolutions are becoming increasingly common. Otherwise, a standard 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage with SD card support. Nothing unexpected, but good stuff nonetheless. So as it stands, the A30 is exactly what it needs to be. No flashy features, no unnecessary bulk, just a solid phone and great for anyone on a budget. And it'll be interesting next month to see how it fits in with its younger and older siblings. I haven't really kept up with Motorola releases, so I was surprised at the release of the Moto Z4 because I wasn't even aware of the Z1 through 3. Following what I was saying about the Galaxy A30, the Z4 features an OLED with a resolution of 1080 by 2340, which is good stuff. The rear camera is a solid 48 megapixel with a choice of 30fps at 2160p or 60fps at 1080p, which is nice. It's good to see, given that it can't do both 60fps and 2160p at the same time, that the option of either two has been provided. Add to that your standard 4GB of RAM, and with 126GB of storage with SD card support, which is great. The battery is a decent 2700 mAh, not amazing, but certainly not bad. On the less important side of things, I really like the design of the Z4. The screen is nearly bezel-less, with only a tiny dewdrop notch for the camera. As well, the back uses a nice grey frosted glass, which for one is great at hiding fingerprints, and two gives it a much higher end look. So the Z4 is a solid phone. Again, no real noteworthy features, instead just favouring style and performance. And finally, we've looked at a couple of Xiaomi's phones in the past, and I know that we have because I've been pronouncing it Xiaomi this whole time because I'm English and pronouncing foreign names is apparently very, very hard. At any rate, this month sees the release of the Xiaomi Mi 9T. That's 9T, not 90. Got it? Okay, good. So Xiaomi have a habit of releasing model after model after model, making keeping up to date with them quite difficult, but it usually means consistent improvements over each iteration, and right off the bat, the 9T has managed to ditch the ugly notch at the top of the screen, meaning you can now have the entire front taken up by the AMOLED screen with a nice resolution of 2340 by 1080, which is good stuff. So the notch is gone, which brings up the question, where is the selfie camera? And this is where the 9T is a bit more interesting, because it pops out of the top. It's an interesting workaround, certainly. It doesn't look the most elegant when it's up, but then it means that the phone does look more elegant the majority of the time. And initially I thought that the camera gimmick would result in some lower specs, but no. The selfie camera is a solid 20 megapixel with HDR and different options like background blur to assist with focus points. Now I know that I've neglected to talk about the phone itself here, but frankly the 9T has some solid enough specs, such as good battery, CPU and so on, that I don't need to convince you. The selfie camera, however, is an interesting quirk that deserves the focus, and I hesitate to call it a gimmick as it solves an aesthetic problem without sacrificing the hardware. So the Xiaomi Mi 9T is a solid phone overall with a terrible name made better by its quirky workaround. CeX.